What if I told you the one thing holding you back isn't the world, it's the voice in your own head telling you that you're not enough? Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the world seems to whisper that you are not enough, that your worth is tied to your mistakes, your failures, your rejections, and the scars that line your journey. We look in the mirror and don't see strength, we see flaw. We don't hear the roar of our resilience, we hear the echo of our doubt. And in those quiet moments of insecurity, a voice rises from deep within, trembling with the weight of self-judgment, questioning, am I really enough? But hear me now, yes, you are. You are enough, not because of what you've achieved or what you've lost, but because of who you are. You are enough because you wake up every day despite the heaviness in your chest. You are enough because even in your weakest moments you try. You are enough because you've survived days you never thought you would, and still, you're standing. This world will try to measure you by metrics you'll never understand: appearance, status, validation from others who don't even see your soul. But the truth is, your existence alone is evidence of purpose. You are a mosaic of battles won in silence, a masterpiece formed from broken pieces, mended with courage. Every scar on your heart is proof that pain visited but did not conquer. So break the chains of self-doubt. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold your light. Stop apologizing for taking up room in a world that desperately needs your voice. The version of you that exists right now, unpolished, healing, learning, is worthy of love, joy, and every good thing life has to offer. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You don't need to earn your right to be proud. You have always been enough. Not someday, not when you're perfect, now, as you are. So stand tall, speak louder, smile wider, walk forward with your head high, because the world doesn't need a copy of someone else, it needs you. And you, just as you are exactly what this world needs. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent war happening inside too many hearts. An unseen battle where the enemy isn't someone else, but our own perception of who we are. Self-doubt is a thief. It sneaks in without warning, whispers in the quiet, and convinces you that you are unworthy of joy, love, progress, and purpose. It doesn't shout. It quietly poisons the way you view yourself until you shrink in your own skin and apologize for existing. But I want you to see this truth. Self-doubt is not your identity. It is a lie constructed from your fears, your wounds, your past rejections, and the harsh words you've absorbed over the years, words that weren't yours to carry. Think back to when you were a child. You didn't second-guess your laughter. You didn't question your right to dance, speak, or be seen. You existed unapologetically. But somewhere along the journey, the world taught you to fear judgment, to believe that if you weren't impressive, you weren't valuable, that unless you met some impossible standard, you didn't deserve peace or confidence. You internalized the idea that perfection was the price of self-acceptance, and you started to shrink, your voice grew quieter, your dreams became whispers, and your courage turned into hesitation. But what if I told you the most courageous act you can perform is not climbing a mountain or building an empire, but choosing to believe genuinely, deeply, and boldly that you are enough right now? Not when you're thinner, not when you've achieved more, not when others approve, but now. As you breathe, as you stand, as you are, flawed, raw, and real. There is incomparable power in rejecting the voice of inadequacy and deciding that you belong to yourself, not to the world's cruel definitions. Let me ask you this: who benefits when you doubt yourself? Certainly not you. Certainly not the people who need your truth, your story, your creativity, your voice. Every time you let self-doubt silence you, the world loses something irreplaceable. You were not born to be a muted version of your potential. You were not designed to simply survive under the weight of doubt. You were meant to rise and claim your wholeness without needing to be fixed, changed, or approved. The truth is, no amount of validation from others will be enough until you validate yourself. Until you look in the mirror and recognize not just your surface, but your spirit, the battles you've survived, the nights you stayed up holding yourself together, the moments you offered love when you felt empty. You are not weak because you've doubted yourself. You are strong because, despite the doubt, you are still here. You are still trying, you are still breathing, and that alone is proof of your enoughness. This is not about arrogance, this is about liberation. It's about releasing the chains that have told you to play small. It's about realizing that being enough doesn't mean being finished or flawless. It means being worthy, even in your becoming. You don't need a reason to love yourself. You don't need evidence to prove your worth. The fact that you exist is enough reason. The fact that you feel, dream, and try, that is your credential. From this moment on, I dare you to stop negotiating your value with the world. I dare you to stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are enough. Declare it. Own it, because the only permission you need is your own, and the only approval that truly matters is the one you grant yourself. You will stumble, yes, you will fall short sometimes, but your mistakes are not disqualifiers. They are proof that you are learning, growing, and reaching. So when that voice returns, and it will, and whispers that you are not smart enough, attractive enough, talented enough, remind it of the truth. You are not defined by your flaws. You are not measured by your setbacks. You are not the sum of your worst days. You are enough because you're alive, with a heart that still hopes, a mind that still dreams, and a spirit that refuses to be broken. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be whole, it needs you to be real, and there is nothing more powerful than someone who has found peace with who they are. So say it with me, not someday, not after I change, not after I prove myself, but now. I am enough. You are enough, breaking the chains of self-doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, we are taught to compare ourselves before we are ever taught to love ourselves. From the earliest moments of awareness, we're conditioned to see others not as inspiration, but as measurements. We look at their beauty and question our own. We witness their achievements and start doubting our own pace. We see curated perfection on screens and begin to believe that we are somehow behind, broken, or incomplete. And what begins as curiosity slowly mutates into comparison. And comparison, unchecked, breeds self-doubt so deeply that it begins to rot our self-worth from the inside out. We scroll through highlight reels, forgetting they are just that, highlights, not reality. We see the smiles, the filters, the awards, the celebrations, but what we don't see is the struggle behind those moments. We don't see the tears that were wiped away before the camera turned on. We don't see the nights they felt like quitting. We don't hear the doubt that whispered in their ears, just as it does in yours. Yet still, we hold ourselves against the mirage of perfection and come up short, not because we are lacking, but because we are comparing our raw, unedited truth to someone else's scripted illusion. Comparison is a silent killer of joy. It whispers that who you are is not good enough, fast enough, strong enough, beautiful enough, and over time, those whispers become your internal dialogue, your belief system, your identity. But let me tell you something that no mirror, no metric, no social platform can ever fully reflect. Your journey is uniquely yours. Your path has never been walked before. Your soul was not molded to fit into someone else's outline. You are not a replica. You are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece painted with the brush of pain, perseverance, and possibility. You must understand that someone else's light does not dim yours. Their success is not your failure. Their beauty is not your flaw. Life is not a zero-sum game. There is room enough in this world for all of us to rise, shine, and thrive. But that begins with you recognizing that your worth is not tied to someone else's progress. You don't become more valuable by outdoing others. You become more powerful when you stop needing to. Let's stop asking the world for proof that we matter. Let's stop looking at someone else's timeline and thinking it should be ours. Let's stop waiting for validation to feel visible. You do not need to look like her, sound like him, think like them, or live like anyone else to be worthy. You do not need to be extraordinary to deserve love. Your mere existence, your breath, your heartbeat, your presence Those are enough. Every comparison you make is a denial of your own truth. Every time you look at someone, ask, why not me? You are ignoring the quiet miracle that is already taking place inside your life. You are forgetting the nights you stayed up with a restless heart and still found the strength to wake up the next day. You are forgetting the burdens you've carried alone, the tears no one saw, the battles no one acknowledged. And yet here you are, still showing up, still breathing, still fighting. That is enough. You must relearn the art of seeing yourself. Strip away the comparisons, the borrowed expectations, the societal checklists. And in that quiet, sacred space, remind yourself, I am not defined by how I measure up against someone else. I am defined by how far I've come from who I used to be. I am defined by how bravely I continue to evolve despite the pressure to conform. I am enough because I am real, and real is rare. So the next time you feel small because someone else appears larger, remember this: your worth does not decrease because someone else is shining. Your light matters. Your story matters. You matter. No one else can live your life. No one else can tell your story. No one else can be you. And that, in its purest form, is your power. Step out of the prison of comparison and into the freedom of authenticity. Release the chains that keep you bound to someone else's standard. Choose to celebrate yourself as fiercely as you've celebrated others, because you deserve that. You deserve to stand in front of the mirror and see someone who is whole. Not when they get there, not when they achieve it, but now, today, this very moment. You are enough, not in comparison to anyone else, but in truth, in fullness, in being. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are not less, you are you, and that is more than enough. Ladies and gentlemen, some of the deepest wounds we carry are not from battles fought in the outside world, but from silent wars within. Battles where we've turned against ourselves. We become prisoners to our own expectations, victims of inner critics we've allowed to grow louder than our dreams. And among the most damaging lies we ever believe is the one that says, I'll be enough when I lose the weight, when I get the degree, when I find someone who stays, when I finally stop making mistakes, when I become perfect. But let me ask you, how many more achievements will it take for you to finally see the worth that was already there long before the milestones? The pursuit of perfection is a never-ending maze. No matter how far you go, there's always another flaw to fix, another gap to fill, another illusion to chase. But the problem is not your goals. The problem is believing that reaching them is the only way to earn love, peace, or a sense of self. You are not a project that needs to be fixed. You are a soul that deserves to be embraced. Growth is beautiful. Progress is powerful. But none of those things should be the condition of your self-acceptance. Too often we withhold compassion from ourselves. We offer grace to others while punishing ourselves for being human. We forgive everyone else's missteps while crucifying ourselves for falling. And in doing so, we bury our own hearts under a weight of shame that was never ours to carry. Shame says, I am bad. Guilt says, I did something bad. And you, beautiful soul, you have confused the two for too long. Mistakes do not diminish your worth. Failure does not strip you of your right to be loved. Your past is not a prophecy, and your pain is not a reflection of your value. You can be flawed and still be worthy. You can be hurting and still be whole. You can be healing and still be enough. There is no rule book that says you have to be perfect, to be seen, to be chosen, to be proud of who you are becoming. Imagine if you spoke to yourself the way you speak to those you love. Would you call them unworthy for failing? Would you turn your back on them for struggling? No, you would remind them of their strength. You would tell them they are not alone. You would hold their hand and tell them they are enough, even now. So why deny yourself that same compassion? Why treat yourself like the exception to love and grace? You see, the real transformation begins not when the world sees your worth, but when you do. When you stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. When you stop measuring your value through someone else's approval. When you realize that the loudest voice in your life should be your own, and it should be kind, supportive, and honest. There is a reason you survived every moment that was meant to break you. There is a reason you're still standing after nights when you wanted to give up. There is something unshakable inside of you, something that deserves your recognition. You are here not by accident, but by resilience. You made it through the worst and still have love to give, still have dreams to chase, still have light to share. That is not weakness, that is power. Do not allow the voices of your past to echo louder than your present strength. Do not let old narratives define your new beginnings. Every day you wake up with breath in your lungs, you have permission to start again. Every hour is a blank page. Every sunrise is an invitation to speak to yourself with the love you've always deserved. There is no finish line you have to cross to finally be enough. You were enough the day you were born. You were enough when you first fell. You are enough now, in all your imperfections, in all your efforts, in all your honest, raw humanity. You are not an unfinished version of something better. You are a beautiful, evolving soul doing the best you can, and that is more than enough. So stop hiding behind self-judgment. Stop delaying your joy until you reach some imaginary standard. Stop waiting for a future version of yourself to be worthy of love. That version is already here. You don't need to earn what is already yours. You don't need to prove what is already true. You are worthy. You are lovable. You are enough. Thank you.